Transformers the game is based on the upcoming movie Transformers the Movie. The game basically pits two factions, the Autobots and the Decepticons, against each other. These are age-old storytelling of good versus evil. The Autobots and the Decepticons are after this item called the Allspark. It's basically their life-giving force. In the game, you basically have the ability to choose as either Autobots or Decepticons. Take your pick, either be good guys or bad guys, destroy the Earth or protect it as you go and search for the Allspark. In the game, you get to play 9 different characters, 4 different Autobots, 5 Decepticons, and what's cool about it is that each faction is different. Autobots are centered around car vehicles, so Optimus Prime is a semi-truck, Bumblebee is a Camaro, Jazz is a Pontiac Solstice, and on the flip side, the Decepticons are more like air vehicles, so you have planes, helicopters, stealth fighters, all these different types of elements that you can actually utilize both in robot form and in vehicle form. The game really emphasizes on the fact that there's mass destruction, these characters are 30 feet tall, anything and everything at your disposal is interactive. You can pick up lampposts, pick up buses, pick up anything and everything you see and utilize it either as a weapon or as a defensive tool. So if you're in the middle of a fight and you look like you're going to lose, you can transform into a car and hightail it out of there. Or if you want to get a better advantage as a Decepticon, you can transform into a plane and use your missiles against them while they're on the ground. For us, that was one of the things. It's robot gore. You've never seen that in the game, and you could as you're fighting with different robots on screen, say you're Optimus fighting Megatron. You're in the city, you're beating the crap out of each other. Sparks are flying, things are flying all over the place. You can pick them up, throw them against the building. The building's going to blow up. Cars are going to go flying. It's really about creating that intense sort of action game. For us, it was critical to get transformation right. Transformation is one of the key features for this franchise. These characters have the ability to change form. Some change forms 3 different ways. And it was important for us to be able to leverage that, not just as kind of showing it off, but using it as a game mechanic. We feel that these characters have the abilities or have multiple abilities based on their different forms. So taking Jazz, for example, he's fast and nimble and he's small as a robot. He can fight and do all these things, but he's even faster and has more abilities as a car. If there's a section where there's a mission in the game where you have to go from point to point, fighting a certain number of characters a certain amount of time, and the only character that would be able to do that is Jazz. We leverage the fact that he's fast. He can, there's ramps in the game where you have to jump, and he's the best character to use for that for little mini games in the game as well. Same thing with Blackout, who's a Apache helicopter. So in this desert section where you're fighting against the U.S. military, he can be on the ground, barreling tanks, blowing up different sort of shelters and tents and all that kind of stuff. But guess what? He can also transform, go to the skies, blow down stealth fighters, blow down F-22 Raptors, and he's got that ability. And it's just one of those things to really sort of play the game in multiple different ways, but utilizing the fact you can leverage those transformations. The game has a bunch of different characters. So the movie itself, there's 13 Transformers, and for the game we needed a lot more. We're not going to have just 13 Transformers. So we wanted to have some characters from the existing Transformers universe. We have Shockwave in there, which is just sort of a key character from early G1. And then we also have tons of unlockable characters that you have. So you have G1 Optimus, we have G1 Megatron. And who made the cut, who didn't make the cut? Well, we assume there's going to be another movie. We assume that there's going to be a lot more characters, but it was one of those things where we needed to have characters that really, we didn't want to dispose of. So, we ended up working with Hasbro and collaborating and building some unique toys and then characters for the game. So we called them the drones, for lack of a better term. We ended up building in the game 10 unique characters that we designed in collaboration with Hasbro. They've made 4 of them into toys now. So every character that's in the movie is in the game, and then we added a few more as well. No Dinobots, no, but definitely there was a big push internally for Grimlock, and there still is to this day. If you look at the movie and know the movie story, it's about sort of 3 human storylines that converge, and when they converge, it's basically how the robots sort of are basically presented in the movie. Our game is really all about the robots from day one. You see the story from the robot's eyes. It's them on a mission to find the Allspark, them on a mission to defeat either faction, and that's, they are the main stars of the game. Gameplay inspirations really stretch far and wide. Virtua On, big robot fighting game, we looked at that. Zone of the Enders we also looked at. War of Monsters that was done by Incognito was a big inspiration because that, big characters fighting in a city. And then some driving games. Need for Speed we actually looked at a lot as well. Because I would say Transformers is a mixture of a bunch of different genres, but it's, we don't it's really leveraging the fact that we've got these characters. They're in an environment, be it a city, be it a desert, be it a small town, and really leveraging the fact, again, to the point of the transformation and saying, how can we use transformation in a cool way? And I think sort of our three sort of key themes we always played on when we looked at something is like, okay, how can we leverage transformation? How can we make the destruction look really cool? And how can we make these guys look larger than life? And then sort of the side things were like, okay, is this going to be cool for the G1 fans? Is this going to be cool for the Transformers fans? So we really went out and talked to the people that sort of were on the fan posts for those Transformers sites. We've utilized a bunch of the different voices from the film. So Shia LaBeouf's in our game, Megan Fox is in our game, but they're sort of like our co-stars. They're not there in the forefront, but they're sort of our damsels in distress, as we like to put it in the game. The original voice of Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen, voiced Optimus Prime in our game. We also got Frank Welker, who's the original Megatron. He doesn't voice him in the movie. He's voiced by Hugo Weaving in the movie from V for Vendetta and the Matrix series. But we thought it was important to really sort of play up the fact that, there's this huge fan base out there that really wanted Frank Welker to voice Megatron. So we went out and seeked out Frank and brought him in, and he and Peter Cullen had a great experience in the booth together. For the consoles, there is no multiplayer, but on the handhelds, there is. On the handhelds, there's 4-player multiplayer for both the PSP and the DS. The PSP and the DS are unique SKUs. They're not the same game. The DS is actually 2 games. There's an Autobot game and a Decepticon game. The Autobot game is all about Autobots. It's an Autobot story, Autobot unlockables, Autobot missions. The characters that you can play in multiplayer with, let's say I've got an Autobot SKU and you've got an Autobot SKU, is co-op missions you can play together. And then if someone has the Decepticon SKU, they can play head-to-head with you, and they can unlock their Decepticon characters for you, and you can unlock their Autobot characters. On the PSP, it's a whole new different game. It actually has both sides, both groups. You can play Autobots and Decepticons. 20 unlockable characters for the PSP, and that's being developed by a company called Savage Entertainment that did Star Wars Battlefront. So really just leveraging the fact that this is a game built for the PSP from the ground up. Transformers the Game is hitting at the end of June on all platforms: PS3, 360, Wii, PS2, PC, 2 Nintendo DS SKUs, and the Sony PSP.